Unexpectedly, she purchased her dream home, then discovered it had been promised to someone else. Emma's heart raced as she stood on the crimson front porch of the Victorian house. The warm, wooden beams felt like an embrace, whispering tales of laughter and love. For years, each corner of her tiny apartment echoed Lily's giggles and dreams. But here, standing before the peeling blue paint and romantic spindles, she could picture vibrant birthday parties, family dinners, and cozied-up nights by the fireplace. The dream home she had fantasized about since childhood was now finally within reach. With every step closer, she could almost taste the happiness that waited inside. It filled her lungs with hope and urgency, a welcome change from the weight of economic struggles that had pressed down on her for so long. But just as she imagined the joy it could bring to little Lily, fate delivered a cruel twist. Word came through the grapevine like a summer thunderstorm: the house had been promised to someone else. Mark, the son of the revered local veteran, was back to claim the home that had once belonged to his family. Emma's heart sank deeper than the cracked sidewalk beneath her feet. How could she compete with the community's loyalty to a man who had given so much? The whispers began to swirl around her, voices filled with compassion for Mark and reminders of his sacrifices. He needs this. Can't let a veteran go without. Each opinion stung like a bee, drowning out her desperate pleas for her daughter's happiness. The town was enveloped in a churning storm of duty and honor, leaving Emma feeling like an outsider in her own life. As the days drew on, Emma couldn't help but feel the tension building. Anger and sorrow roiled in her chest while memories of sleepless nights spent nursing in the hospital clouded her mind. Yet amidst her disappointment, fate offered an unexpected glimmer of hope. She bumped into Mark at the grocery store, and instead of a fight, they shared an awkward but genuine conversation. "What brings you back?" Emma asked, her voice trembling slightly. Mark's smile turned bittersweet. "Just a fresh start," he replied, and in that moment, both of them found a sliver of understanding. As their stories unfolded, revealing the burdens they each carried, Emma realized they were fighting for the same values: family, stability, and a place to call home. Suddenly, those shared struggles felt more significant than any house. Just then, dark clouds gathered above, heralding an impending storm. Emma could feel the electricity in the air as she ventured home, conflicted. But before she could allow herself another moment of despair, nature unleashed a wrathful fury. Wind howled around the town, tearing through the very fabric of their lives. As Emma rushed to assist her neighbors, so did Mark. Together, they salvaged homes and offered comfort. Racing against the storm, they found camaraderie in the wreckage, laughter amidst the chaos. With every door they knocked on, every heart they bolstered, they created a bond stronger than they ever expected. But as the winds began to die down, the town would soon face the question looming like the storm clouds above: what would they ultimately choose, compassion for a veteran or the dreams of a mother? Emma stood on the brink of a pivotal moment, tethered between her past and what could be. How could she fight for her dreams when duty and honor lay heavily in the air, waiting to decide her fate? The days that followed the storm were filled with a strange silence. Emma sat in her living room, the chaos of the world outside muffled by the weight of her thoughts. As she watched the clouds disperse and the sun peek through, she felt torn. The house stood defiantly, its weathered beauty seemingly unfazed, yet it felt like a battleground now, a place where hopes were clashing with the heavy loyalty of the town. Lily was still mesmerized by the charm of the house. She wandered through its rooms, filling the air with her laughter, completely unaware of the tempest brewing in her mother's heart. Emma adored how the little girl twirled in the yard, her imagination painting vivid scenes as she danced under the white sky, but it cut deeper knowing their dream could slip away. Emma decided to visit the town library that afternoon, seeking solace among books that promised adventure and escape. As she flipped through pages, the cheerful librarian approached her with a knowing smile. "You okay, Emma?" she asked gently. Her expression was filled with warmth, a reminder that she was not entirely alone in this fight. With a half-hearted smile, Emma sighed. Just figuring things out. The librarian nodded, eyes sparkling with sympathy. Sometimes, when life gets tough, it's good to remember why we started fighting in the first place. Those words lingered in Emma's mind, igniting a flicker of determination. By the time she returned home, something inside her had shifted. She knew she had to confront Mark and make her case for the house. It wasn't just about a place to live, it was about creating a future for Lily, about breaking free from the cycle of struggle. Emma felt the weight of motherly love in her chest, urging her to act. Later that evening, she took a deep breath and knocked on Mark's door. He opened it, surprise flashing in his eyes. "Emma. What brings you here?" There was a vulnerability in his voice, an echo of the earlier conversation that made her heart ache. "I wanted to talk," she said, her voice steady. "About the house." Mark stepped aside, motioning for her to enter. His small living room was filled with boxes and remnants of a life being rebuilt. As Emma took a seat, she could see he was wrestling with more than just the comeback to his hometown. "I get it," she began. "You feel you deserve this house. I understand the connection. But I need it too. Lily needs it." Mark ran a hand through his hair, the weight of his past heavy on his shoulders. "I want to understand your point of view, but my family has a long history with that house." Emma leaned closer, her voice softening. "We all have histories, Mark. I moved here for a fresh start after things fell apart. I'm not trying to take anything from you. I just want a place where I can build something lasting for my daughter." There was a moment of silence, both of them caught in a web of shared struggle. The flickering light of a nearby lamp illuminated their faces, exposing the raw emotion etched in their features. "I don't want to fight you," he finally admitted, his gaze falling to the floor. "But how do we decide what is right?" Before Emma could respond, the door behind Mark swung open. An older woman, Mark's mother, stepped inside with an urgency that filled the room with an electric tension. "Mark. We need to talk. There is something I haven't told you about the house." Emma's heart raced as she sensed the storm of revelations about to unfold. What secret could change everything? Would it tip the balance in her favor or weave deeper complexities into this already tangled web? As Mark turned to face her, confusion and worry mingled in his expression. Emma felt a pulse of anticipation course through her. The true nature of their dreams and the house that bound them was about to be revealed. Mark's mother moved closer, her gaze darting between her son and Emma. The house, steeped in history and memories, suddenly felt like a character in the unfolding drama. "Emma, your mother may have known more about the house than you realize," she began, her voice wavering slightly. "She and your father were close friends with our family. You must understand, there was a promise made a long time ago." Emma's mind spun at the mention of her parents. Memories of warm summers, laughter, and days spent exploring the woods rushed back to her. Those were simpler times, before the weight of the world had settled on her shoulders. "What kind of promise?" Mark asked, his brows knitting together. He looked at Emma, frustration battling curiosity in his eyes. Mrs. Jensen took a deep breath, seeming to gather her thoughts. "Your parents," she hesitated. "They promised to look after the house, to keep it in the family. I know it sounds crazy, but we believed it was special. It was a familial bond." Emma felt her heart sink. "But I don't understand. My family left. They never tried to claim it. Why now?" The question stumbled out of her mouth. "Your mother faced challenges, just like you. She fought to keep you safe. We thought." Mrs. Jensen sighed. "We thought it would be best for your future. But the connection was never forgotten. I didn't want to bring this up until now. I hoped your family would one day return. Mark turned to Emma, his expression softening. I didn't know any of this. His voice was barely above a whisper. I just wanted a place where I could belong again. I understand, Emma whispered back, feeling the weight of both their stories intertwining. She glanced around the room at the boxes that signified new starts and the memories waiting to be rediscovered. We are both searching for something, she admitted, the truth hanging in the air. But we also want to break free from our pasts. Mrs. Jensen studied them both, eyes glistening. This place has always had a way of bringing people together, hasn't it? The house holds stories. Perhaps there's a way to honor the promise without letting go of your future. Emma felt a glimmer of hope but was cautious. How do we do that? Mark spoke up, determination rising in his voice. Maybe we can share it. There is room for both of us to create something new, even if it means redefining what that promise has come to mean. Mrs. Jensen nodded, her face lighting up. Yes. We can turn this into a community, a place for healing and growth. It doesn't have to be one or the other. Emma felt her heart flicker with a tiny spark of possibility. Could they truly create something together, taking the strength of the past and molding it into a shared future? But emotions shifted again as Mark's phone buzzed on the table, shattering the fragile moment. He glanced down and inhaled sharply. It's about the town meeting. I'm supposed to defend the claim. The reality of their situation crashed back down like a wave, reminding them that while they stood on the brink of something transformational, the challenges ahead were formidable. As Emma exchanged a glance with Mark, she knew they had choices to make, choices that could either separate them or draw them closer. Maybe this is not just about the house, she said softly. It's about what we are willing to fight for. Mark's phone buzzed again, urging him to decide. The conversation, the emotions, the revelations, it all loomed over them like a thick fog as they stood at a crossroads, together yet uncertain. What would they choose? And what would it mean for both their families? The tension hung thick, and the path forward remained fraught with unanswered questions. Emma's heart raced with a mix of fear and hope. What secrets could the coming town meeting reveal? Would their shared journey lead to a deeper bond or unravel everything they had just begun to stitch together? Mark's phone buzzed a third time, an urgent reminder that set the air crackling with expectation. He glanced at it again, his expression shifting from worry to determination. I have to go. They're expecting me. Emma felt her stomach twist. Are you sure you want to? She asked, wrapping her fingers tightly around the edge of the table. What if no, Emma? He interrupted gently. I can't avoid this anymore. This is about our past, our families. I owe it to both of us to speak up. Mrs. Jensen watched them with a mix of hope and fear. It's a big responsibility. You're stepping onto a stage that brings with it a history and a lot of opinions. The weight of the moment pressed down on Emma. She wanted to support him, but with every passing second, her anxiety deepened. What if they reject you? What if they don't understand? Mark took a step closer, his voice sincere. Look, I want to let them dismiss what this house means. Not when it has a history worthy of respect. Emma could see the fire in his eyes, that flicker of determination that set him apart. She wanted to feel that same strength, but a nagging doubt edged in. And you think talking to them will change everything? Sometimes, talking is the first step. He reached for her hand, their fingers intertwining. A warm calmness spread through her as his grip tightened, as if he were transferring part of his resolve to her. We're stronger together, remember? Mrs. Jensen cleared her throat, pulling their focus back to the moment. You're not alone in this, Mark. We can prepare something. There are pieces of the story that need to be told. It's important for them to hear about the promise, about what this place symbolizes. Emma let out a breath she didn't realize she had been holding. You mean you'll help us? The vulnerable edge of her voice bared the cracks in her confidence. Absolutely. We'll make sure they understand. Mrs. Jensen's eyes glimmered with determination. This house stands for so much more than bricks and wood. We will show them the heart of the matter. Still holding his gaze, Emma felt the beginnings of excitement source within her. Okay, let us do it. Let us prepare our story. They began swapping ideas, brainstorming how to convey the profound significance of the house, infusing their histories with passion and belief. As the evening rolled on, time slipped away. The room filled with the smell of fresh coffee and the buoyant energy of shared purpose. But with every potent word exchanged, Emma couldn't shake an underlying fear. What if their town wasn't open to hearing them? Would Mark still feel the same connection to her if things fell apart? Her inner turmoil bubbled to the surface. Mark, what if we fail? He looked at her, genuine concern in his eyes. Failure means different things to different people. I'll fight for us, for this house, whatever that looks like. Yet, Emma felt an ache in her chest. What if fighting for the house meant losing her opportunity to start fresh? Could they really turn something so burdened into a haven, or would it be another reminder of the past? As they drew close to finalizing their plan, Mark's phone buzzed yet again, the tone more urgent this time. He glanced down and cursed softly under his breath. They want me to be there now. Panic flared in Emma's heart as he grabbed his hat. Wait. Mark, He paused, turning to her, uncertainty etched in his features. She was filled with conflicted feelings, battling between wanting to support him and fearing what the future held. Emma, he said gently. Trust me. Trust, her voice faltered. That word hung in the air, heavy and electric, and the room felt charged with unspoken possibilities. Emma watched as he stepped away, leaving behind the warmth of their moment, stepping out into the unknown. What awaited him at that town meeting? Would they listen? Would they understand the weight of the promise that hovered in the air like a storm cloud? Emma couldn't shake the feeling that their lives were about to change again. But would it be for better or worse? The echo of Mark's footsteps faded as he stepped outside. Emma stood frozen for a moment, the door swinging gently behind him, leaving the comforting warmth of the room starkly empty. She felt a heavy silence swell around her, a reminder of everything that could go wrong. Mrs. Jensen was still there, her eyes fixed on the door. Do you think he'll be okay? She asked quietly. Emma sighed, rubbing her arms as if to ward off a chill. I don't know. I hope they hear him. Mrs. Jensen nodded, the corners of her mouth tightening. This is a significant moment. But it's also one that could sway opinions. Everyone in town has their own memory tied to that house, Emma murmured, recalling how the walls seemed to whisper secrets of the past. Would those whispers drown out Mark's voice? Would they remember what the house had stood for, or would they only see the weight of its history? As if sensing her turmoil, Mrs. Jensen took her hand. We'll be with him in spirit. And if he needs, we'll join him as soon as we can. Emma wanted to believe that. She wanted to feel the confidence radiating from Mrs. Jensen. But desperation clawed at her heart. Mark was caring too much, and with every tick of the clock, she felt the distance between them grow. What if he returned, defeated? What would that mean for them? Sinking back into the chair, she tried to breathe steadily. They could have already decided against him before they even hear him out, she whispered. They might surprise you, Mrs. Jensen said encouragingly. People can be more understanding than we expect. This town has a heartbeat, and sometimes all it needs is a reminder. As the minutes ticked by, each second stretched longer than the last. Emma's imagination spiraled. She pictured Mark standing up in front of their neighbors, passion alive in his voice, but she also visualized cold stares, dismissive comments, resentment. The idea that they could take away something with such deep meaning felt unbearable. Suddenly, her phone buzzed, causing her heart to jump. She snatched it up, half hoping it was Mark, but the name on the screen made her pulse quicken. It was David, a childhood friend who had been her only ally during trying times. What did he want? They hadn't spoken in months. "Hey, Emma. I was just thinking about you. There is something I need to tell you," his voice crackled through the speaker. "What is it?" She replied, her heart racing. "Was it about the house? I've heard some rumors. Something about that property you love." I didn't want to believe it, but... He hesitated, and Emma felt the air thicken with anticipation. "There's a chance it could be tied to an old promise made long ago, something about rightful ownership." If that is true, the world spun around her. An old promise? What did that mean? "David, slow down. What do you mean, a promise? It might blow your plans out of the water." Emma's heart dropped. Hadn't she had enough of being tied down by the past? Is that what awaited Mark when he got back? "I'll come by later," David said, urgency in his voice. "I need to tell you this in person." Just as she was about to respond, the front door swung wide, and Mark stepped in. His eyes were bright, but a hint of uncertainty lingered in his brow. "Emma," he called, breathless. "You won't believe what happened." Her heart pounded in her chest. What news had he brought with him? Did that mean they were stepping forward, or had something dark clouded their path? As she locked eyes with him, her breath caught. Would this be the change they'd hoped for, or was it leading them toward another storm? What awaited them now? Mark stepped closer, the anticipation crackling in the air between them. Emma could see the excitement in his eyes, but there was also a flicker of trepidation that gnawed at her. "What is it, Mark?" she urged, her voice catching on the edge of hope. His reaction could swing either way, and the weight of their future rested on the news he carried. They listened," he said, an almost incredulous smile spreading across his face. "I laid out the plans for our community center, how it would bring everyone together. I told them about the history, about the things we could restore. They didn't dismiss me outright. Some even seemed interested." Relief washed over her, momentarily easing the tightness in her chest. "Really? That is amazing." "Not just that," he continued, his voice filled with resolve. "There were questions about how it could help the youth in the town. One of the board members, Mrs. Graves, she actually shared her own memories of the house. That was a bold move. It turned some heads." Emma's heart soared. This was the break they needed, the turning point. But then the thought of David's call flashed in her mind, the unsettling rumors and that murmured promise. But what if there is more to it? What if they turn against you once they figure out? She struggled with the words. The history. The promise. Mark's expression darkened slightly at her hesitation. "What promise?" he demanded gently, concern creeping into his tone. Before she could respond, Mrs. Jensen chimed in. "Emma received a call right before you came in, dear. David mentioned something about a promise tied to the property." Mark's brow furrowed, and a shadow crossed his face. "Why is David bringing this up now?" "I don't know. He said he'd share more later," she replied. My heart just sank when I heard it. Is it possible there is something I don't know? Something that could change everything? Mark pushed a hand through his hair, deep in thought. Old promises can stir trouble, especially in a place like this. But if they just heard me out? Maybe we should see what David knows first, Mrs. Jensen suggested softly, her concern evident. It might not be as grim as you fear, Emma. Maybe, but the doubt gnawed at Emma still. Mark stepped in front of her, his hand finding hers. Whatever it is, we'll face it together, right? We can figure it out. We owe it to ourselves to at least try. Her heart swelled at his confidence, but unease lingered in the back of her mind. Would the weight of the past crush their dreams? Or was this a chance at true transformation, a fresh start in a town that had long carried its burdens? Before she could respond, a knock sounded at the door, slicing through the thick tension in the room. Startled, they exchanged glances. Was it David? Mark released her hand and moved toward the door. Emma could feel her heart racing again, anticipation bubbling. It felt as if the next few moments would set the course of their lives. Mark opened the door, revealing David, breathless and clearly uneasy. I hope I'm not interrupting, he stammered, clearly shaken. There is something urgent we need to discuss. Emma's stomach twisted. What more could her childhood friend have to say? David, what is it? Mark demanded, the tension in the air thickening. As David stepped in, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that whatever was coming next could change everything yet again. With each inhale, she prepared herself for what was about to be revealed. Would it be worth the risk, or would it unravel everything they had built? Things are more complicated than we thought, David said, his voice low. And I don't think you like what I have to say about that promise. David shifted nervously, his gaze darting between Emma and Mark, as if searching for the right way to unfold the layers of this revelation. Emma's palms grew sweaty, the air around them suddenly heavy. The passion for the community center still burned within her, yet something about David's presence hinted at potential devastation. I can't bear to drag this out. The promise is tied to the land where you want to build, he said, carefully selecting his words. It dates back to when the house was initially sold decades ago. The previous owners, they agreed to hand it over only if a member of their family could move back home. A clause no one thought would matter anymore. What does that even mean? Mark asked, tightening his grip at the edge of the door. David exhaled sharply. It means that if someone from that family steps forward, all of your plans could be in jeopardy. Emma's heart plummeted. So, they could just take it back. David nodded, his eyes heavy with regret. It's not a malicious clause, but it exists. The family has legal claim if they can prove their relation. Panic began to rise in Emma's throat, and she took a step back. But who? Who would even care enough to do that? I don't know, David replied, the helplessness in his voice clear. I only overheard bits and pieces, and I'm not sure how confirmed it is. But within town, word spreads fast, and there are still those who remember the history. You need to take this seriously. Mark's brow furrowed deeply, a storm brewing in his eyes. This can't be the whole story, right? There must be a way around it. We've come so far, Emma. I can't believe it'd end like this. Emma felt her knees weaken. What if we did find someone? What if they don't care about that promise? What if it Emma? Mark's sharp tone stopped her from spiraling. We can't think like that. We have to explore every option. If this is true, we'll figure out how to fight it. This is our dream. Just then, Mrs. Jensen interjected gently, why don't we try to find out who the family is? Maybe they don't even know about the promise. Perhaps we can reason with them. Emma caught her breath. But what if they refuse? What then? We could lose everything we've worked for. Stop. Mark said, his voice wavering between frustration and desperation. I can't stand the way you're thinking. No more what ifs. We have to go into this prepared. If we're going to battle for this dream, we need to know who we're up against. Emma met his gaze, and for a moment, the trembling fear in her heart melded with the strength of his resolve. She felt the hope flicker within her, urging her to step forward instead of retreating. You think we can do this? Go find them. Mark nodded firmly, determination flashing in his eyes. Yes. Together. David cleared his throat, looking between them. Just be careful. If we dig too deep too soon, it could attract unwanted attention. We need to be strategic about this. As the group exchanged anxious glances, Emma sensed the storm ahead. Everything they moved toward could either forge their legacy or completely derail it. The urge to shield herself from hurt wrestled with the desire to fight for what they had envisioned together. Let us meet back here tomorrow morning, Emma suggested, her voice steadier now. We'll plan our next move. And we'll do it together. Mark smiled softly, and that warmth spread through her. It was small, but enough to ignite a spark of courage. As she closed the door behind David, Emma couldn't shake the queasy sensation that hung over them like dark clouds. They were on the brink of something, but what would they discover waiting for them in the shadows? Hope and fear intertwined within her as she turned to Mark. Are we ready for this? He took her hands in his, the familiar warmth grounding her. Ready or not, we fight for what is ours. But in that moment, she couldn't help but wonder what if fighting for their dream unleashed a past they weren't prepared to face. The next morning, a thin fog hugged the town like a ghost whispering secrets. Emma arrived at the community center early, her heart pounding with anticipation and dread. The empty chairs circled around the long table, casting shadows that seemed to mirror her own uncertainty. She brushed her fingers against the cool wood as she waited for Mark and Mrs. Jensen. The door creaked open. Mark stepped in, his expression a mix of anxiety and determination. Hey, he said softly, walking over to her. Ready to dive in? Emma nodded, but her stomach churned. I can't shake this feeling, like we're standing on a cliff and the ground might just give way. Mark squeezed her shoulder, steadying her. We promised to fight for this, remember? We can't let fear paralyze us. A moment later, Mrs. Jensen shuffled in, her silver hair gleaming in the morning light. Good morning, Emma, Mark, she greeted, her eyes sparkling with maternal warmth. I brought some coffee, and I think it might help us think clearly. It's a good start, Emma replied, appreciating the efforts. The aroma filled the room, bringing a touch of comfort amidst the looming chaos. With mugs in hand, they gathered around the table, brainstorming their approach. Let us start by digging into the town archives, Mark suggested. The promise must have left a paper trail. We need to find the family associated with that clause. Mrs. Jensen nodded. I can help with that. I've been around long enough to know where the records are kept. We can look up past owners and their descendants. Right, Emma replied, bolstered by their support. And if we find anyone, we should talk to them. Maybe they'd be willing to negotiate. Mark leaned forward, fire igniting in his eyes. We can show them what this community center means. It's not just a building, it's a home for countless people. Their planning continued, but Emma's mind drifted to the unknown family. What if they were still alive? What if they had no intention of preserving the dream Emma and Mark were fighting for? Around noon, they wrapped up, feeling a flicker of hope igniting once more. Let us meet at the courthouse tomorrow, Mark said. Mrs. Jensen, could you help us navigate through the records? I'd be honored, she smiled warmly. We'll get to the bottom of this. As they parted ways outside, the sun broke through the clouds, lighting up the street. Emma breathed deeply, hoping this was a sign. She turned to Mark, a question lingering in the back of her mind. What if we find out they have ties to the community, too? If they want the land back, they might have every right to it. Will we be prepared for that? Mark took her hands again, grounding her. No matter what, we'll face it together. This dream doesn't belong to just us. It belongs to everyone who believes in it. We'll make our case. As they parted, Emma felt the weight of what lay ahead crushing her. For every step forward, there were walls to climb. But something deep inside urged her forward. It was a fight worth having. That night, she lay awake, brain racing through possibilities. Just as exhaustion began to lull her, a soft knock echoed through her apartment. A shadow fell across her door as she opened it to find an unexpected face, a tall woman with striking dark hair and a look of resolve. "Are you Emma?" she asked, voice steady yet tense. "Yes, I am," Emma replied, confusion knitting her brow. "I need to talk to you about the community center, and my family." As unease gripped her heart, Emma realized the past had finally caught up with her dreams. Would the truth tear everything apart? Emma stood frozen in the doorway, her pulse racing as she studied the woman before her. The anxious energy swirling around her threatened to pull her under. "Your family?" she managed to say, her voice barely a whisper. The woman stepped closer, her green eyes seeming to search Emma's soul. "Yes. My name is Clara. I'm the great-granddaughter of the couple who originally donated the land for the community center," she explained, her tone edged with urgency. "I have to know what is going on." Clara's revelation hit Emma like a punch to the gut. The ground beneath her felt unstable, the walls of her aspirations shuddering. Thoughts raced through her mind. This was the moment they had dreaded, the truth knocking on her door. "Can we talk inside?" Emma pushed the door wider, inviting Clara into her modest apartment. They settled awkwardly at the small kitchen table, the air thick with tension. I don't know how much you know," Clara began, glancing around as if searching for the right words. "My family kept a copy of the original agreement. It was meant to ensure that the community center was a place for the people, just like it is now. But we never thought we'd see the day when we'd need to enforce it." Emma's heart sank. "So you're here to claim it? To take it back?" Clara shook her head firmly, her features softening. "No, that is not what I want. The center means just as much to me as it does to you. My grandparents spoke of it with love, they believed in it. I want to work with you, not against you." Emma's breath hitched. "Then why didn't you come sooner? We are fighting to keep it alive." "I just found out about the situation myself," Clara admitted, her voice thick with emotion. "I had no idea until I went through my family's old papers. It's been a whirlwind, and I didn't know how to reach you. In the morning, we're meeting with Mrs. Jensen and Mark to look through the archives," Emma said, confusion creeping into her voice. "Do you want to join us?" Clara nodded, determination flickering in her eyes. "Yes. It's time to dive into this together." An unexpected flicker of hope ignited within Emma. Maybe, just maybe, this connection could be the lifeline they all needed. But doubt nagged at her. Would everyone else feel the same way? Clara leaned forward, her tone earnest. "Emma, I know this feels overwhelming. But we can work together to honor my family's legacy and ensure the community center stays strong. We have to show people what it means to us." Just then, there was a loud crack of thunder outside, sending a shiver through Emma. What if the others don't agree? What if they see me as a threat? She asked, her voice breaking as she felt the weight of the world pressing down on her. Clara placed her hand over Emma's. "Everyone is scared, but we have a chance to change that. Let us focus on what we can build together." Emma felt a sense of warmth at Clara's words, but uncertainty clung to her heart. As they sat in silence, the storms outside raged, echoing the tempest of emotions within. This unlikely partnership could either forge a new path or fracture everything she believed in. The night stretched on, each minute thick with possibility. The truth that lay ahead could change everything. Emma glanced at Clara, determination sparking within her. What if we could actually convince everyone to see us as allies? Clara smiled faintly, but worry lingered in her eyes. Then we'll have to be ready for whatever comes next. As they shared nervous laughter, the echoes of that promise hung between them, a fragile bridge over shifting ground. Emma couldn't shake the feeling that they were teetering on the edge of something monumental. With a mix of hope and trepidation, a thought emerged: was this the turning point in their fight, or would it all come crashing down? Emma pondered silently, as once again the future remained uncertain and daunting. The next morning dawned with a crispness that felt electric, almost alive. Emma arrived at the community center early, her heart racing with a mixture of excitement and fear. Today was crucial. Clara's presence had added a layer of complexity that both intrigued and terrified her. It felt like stepping into fresh territory, unmapped and filled with possibilities. As she surveyed the familiar space, memories of laughter and warmth danced through her mind, along with jarring reminders of the struggles and challenges that loomed ahead. Would the community truly embrace this collaboration? Could they find a way to honor the past while creating a new future? Emma took a deep breath, steadying her nerves. A short while later, Mark and Mrs. Jensen arrived, both displaying a mixture of eager anticipation and determination. "You ready to dig in?" Mark asked brightly, though there was an edge of apprehension in his voice. "Ready as I'll ever be," Emma replied, forcing a smile. Clara stepped in just moments later, her presence both calming and invigorating. "Thanks for waiting for me," she said, her tone earnest. "I'm here to help us all move forward." As they gathered around the table, Emma felt the energy in the room shift, every individual as passion one thread in the tapestry they were weaving together. They began sifting through ancient documents and town records, every old paper pulling them deeper into the history they wished to redefine. "This is incredible," Mrs. Jensen exclaimed, her excitement infectious as she pointed to an entry detailing the original agreement. Clara leaned closer, her eyes lighting up when she saw her great-grandparents' names mentioned. "This really is our shared legacy," she murmured. Mark nodded, fire lighting in his eyes. "Let us talk to the town. If we present this as a joint effort, the community center's roots and all, maybe they'll understand we're not at odds. We are all stepping into the future together." Hours blurred as they dug through facts, victories mingling with daunting truths. With each piece found, Emma felt the gravity of their collaboration solidify. The promise now became less like a burden and more like a chance to build something lasting for everyone. But as the sun dipped low in the sky, casting golden rays through the windows, Emma felt an unease creep back in. What if the town doesn't see it this way? What if they hold on to their grudges and history? She whispered, her voice tinged with fear. Clara squeezed her hand. "We tell our story. Show them how intertwined our paths are. We're challenging history, but it's for the good of our community and future generations." Mark turned serious. "Each town meeting has its own rhythm, people's nerves, their memories. We'll need to be prepared for anything. The last thing we want is to be perceived as intruders." Emma's heart raced at the thought. They were riding the tides of uncertainty, but she felt their united spirit strengthening her resolve. The following town meeting loomed in the distance like a gathering storm, but she knew they'd be ready. At last, the day arrived. The hall was packed, the atmosphere electric with anticipation. Emma's palms grew sweaty as she took the podium alongside Mark and Clara. They had spent nights preparing for this moment, distilling their ambition and dreams into a few poignant words. "Good evening, everyone," Emma began, her voice steady but her heart pounding. Today, we come together, not just as voices fighting for a building, but as a community that believes in the future. Clara's family helped lay the foundation for what the center represents: connection, support, growth. Now, we want to honor that legacy by breathing new life into it, for everyone here. Mark stepped forward, his presence commanding. Our proposal isn't just about preserving memories, it's about creating a welcoming space for all ages, for creativity and learning. We believe in this town, and we believe we can work together to forge a brighter future that everyone can be proud of. As he spoke, Emma noticed the way the crowd softened, recognition dawning on their faces. Clara followed with a heartfelt plea, infusing personal stories about her family's history with the center that intertwined with the rest of their community. Each word felt like a stitch sewing them all closer together. But then came the questions. Skepticism emerged. A handful of townsfolk worried about the past. What if we forget our roots? Our loyalty to those who built the house? One voice echoed through the crowd. Emma took a deep breath, sensing the importance of this moment. We're not asking you to forget. Instead, we're asking you to expand our understanding. That promise to my family and Clara's was made with love. Our united vision doesn't erase the past, it honors it by offering a new chapter, one that welcomes everyone. Whispers spread through the audience. Tension released in a series of nods, some leaning in as if reconsidering their stance. Emma felt hope blossom in her chest, perhaps they were reaching the heart of the matter. And then, amidst the conversation, an elderly woman stood, her face lined with years of experience. I remember the chapel, and the youth programs it once held. It shaped so many lives. If we can make that happen again, I would support this. The air shifted as more voices began to chime in, stories of how the center had touched lives played like a symphony, each note knitting them closer together. Emma's heart soared, and when she glanced at Clara, she saw tears springing to her eyes, tears of relief and joy. The meeting continued into the night, with shared stories of struggle, triumph, and hope fueling a passion that ignited the crowd. Emma had never felt so united with her community, her heart swelling, surrendering to the powerful reality they were rewriting their history together. As the evening drew to a close, Emma stepped back from the podium, overwhelmed yet exhilarated. Together, they had faced the storm and in turn, transformed it into a catalyst for change. As the final applause erupted in the hall, Emma turned to Clara, embracing her tightly. We did it. We really did it. Mark joined, an infectious grin spreading wide on his face. This is just the beginning. In that moment, surrounded by the warmth of community, Emma felt the weight of years of struggle peel away. She finally heard what all those whispers of the past were saying. It was time to let go of fear, to embrace unity and possibility. The house, the promise, and their dreams stood strong as one. Emma believed in this new beginning, and she knew they would continue to fight together. As she stepped away from the podium, ready to forge ahead, she realized all they had endured, all the challenges faced, had led them to this shining moment. It wasn't just about a house anymore, it was about a home, one built from love, history, and shared hope. Now was the time to build that future, together. No looking back. And as they strolled out into the vibrant night, Emma took a deep breath. The journey had only just begun. Don't wait not even one more second to share this incredible transformation. You need to subscribe now to ensure you catch our next exclusive stories that uplift and inspire. Leave a like right now to feed the algorithm and help others experience this journey. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this transformation. And share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this journey toward hope and community. This is the moment to show your support.